Judgment. At the last, rays of sunlight disappeared behind the old abandoned skyscraper. Bullets racked its walls and windows, making dull echoing noises inside. Meanwhile, Alexis was busy writing with her papers scattered all around, and Yuki, her white palette stained with blood and ink, on her lap gently purring. She couldn't have been in a better mood, yet her green eyes and young face still looked troubled. And this time it wasn't because of the noise from outside. Throwing down her pen, she pushed her hands through her short, dark brown hair and gave a sigh. It had been hard these past days. Having so many questions with no one to answer her, the only comfort being Yuki and these words on paper. She had forgotten how hard it was to be alone for so long. She always hated when people checked up on her, but somehow she knew it only meant that they cared. But there were so few to care for her now. Giving herself a shake, she grabbed her pen and started to write again. May, Friday, the 13th. How ironic, she muttered to herself. Year, I have no idea right now, or in fact, ever. The dust angels came by as usual this morning in the street announcing it to be the year 2065, but somehow I doubted it couldn't possibly have already been 50 years since the war. Mom was only 18 when it broke out, and she disappeared last year, January, on her 43rd birthday. I can't remember that much about her, but I do remember her smile, her laugh, and her eyes. They were the most beautiful blue-green color. But that's all. Anyway, back to the Dust Angels. I mean, sure, we all follow them and the rules, and we do depend on them for food and water. But everyone knows that trusting them with information is a mistake, or rather a risk. Mom told me that the only ones we must truly trust and depend on are the Guardian rebels. They were said to be the ones who wanted to prevent the war, who only wanted to bring peace, equality, and protection. But the Dust Angels turned us against them with lies of weapons, destructions, and betrayal. So another war broke out, only this time the one side won and the other side was completely harsh cold voice cut through her thoughts and writing. Alex says, what the hell are you doing? The sharp jerk of her head, she looked up to find her father with a squall on his face and his ruffle slung across his back. He didn't seem to have shaved at all since she had left 2 weeks ago. But he still stood proud with his shoulders squared and his tall frame leaning against the open door. Nothing much, she mumbled, and with a quick flash of her hands, she quickly stuffed her papers into her backpack and jumped to her feet. Yuki, surprised by the sudden movement, gave a short meow of protest and then settled near her feet. We have a new target today. We leave in 5, so get your stuff and let's go. Already, but I determined 3 target on Tuesday. Should I lay low for a while longer? Did I ask for opinion? His father growled. No, shut up and get ready. As he walked out of the door, he paused and looked back at Alex's. You know, asking too many questions and always running crap won't save your life. So do something productive for a change. And with that, he walked out of the room and could be heard stomping downstairs. Alexis gave a sigh and set off toward the cupboard in the corner for her equipment. She took her Macmillan Tag 50, nicknamed She, which meant death in Japanese, and swapped her backpack for the one which had all necessary equipment. Then, with Yuki settled on her shoulders, she set off toward the door, but just as she wanted to close the door, she realized she had forgotten something. Dumping her bag, she hurried inside and grabbed the necklace her mother had given to her on her 16th birthday. A good luck charm, a strange flower which had only 4 green petals. It was the only thing she had left of her. They traveled fast and silent. The moon was shining like a silver sun, and the cool breeze would rustle the few leaves or paper that were lying about. Alex had snuck through buildings and streets like a shadow, her father keeping behind to make sure they weren't being followed. Every now and then they would ask around or track their target. Alex was used to this, following leads, silencing those wanting to know why or who they were. Often they would find a lead, which ended up being the wrong person. They only found this after killing. It was around 2 a.m. when the 5th bullet struck home. A few seconds later, the body tumbled off the roof and landed with a thwack on the ground. Alexis nodded her head and spoke into the microphone. Got her. Body is on the north side of the building, estimate 5 meters from the road. There was a crackle of static, and the reply came, I saw, thanks to the moon, that is. Go check if she's the one and report back. Got it. I'm on my way. Alexis slung her rifle onto her back and hopped down the stairs. Yuki once again settled on her shoulders. She checked to see if all was clear and quickly ran across the road. Safe. She never quite feel comfortable when the wound was like this. She felt too open, exposed. And then there was the task of checking the bodies, which she didn't exactly feel comfortable with either, especially when they turned out to be the wrong ones. But she still nudged the body with her boot and turned it on its back. A shot sounded off inside the building opposite her, and she dove to the ground cursing. There was that. She almost shrieked into the mic. Nothing, just a past. It's all taken care of. I hope so. Alexis mumbled to herself. She shook her head and got up from the ground, checking that Yuki and she were okay. She glanced at the body and frowned. She shook her head again and took out the papers from her bag, which stated the target and their mission. Target is a female, dark brown hair, below green eyes. She was seen communicating with the Guardian rebels. Mission is to eliminate her and track down any relatives who might be in connection, guilty or not. No give names. Alex shrugged and got on with business. She dragged the body out into the street where she could see better and examine properly. Yep, she's the right one this time, I think. Nasty fall though, and it's hard to see much of her face. Can't I just use a flashlight? The moonlight is a nice effect, but seeing if she's really the one is pretty hard. No, flashlight my cat and want attention. Just give her ID and a few photos of her face. We need proof. Okay, wherever then. I'll get the ID. Definitely her. Strange name though. Teresa Griffin. There was no reply. All static. Alex is frowning, then gave a shudder. The stranger's feeling of fear in her pit of her stomach. Father, what is my last name? But even as the words left her lips, Alex already knew the answer. And when the answer came a sudden sharp pain, and then blissful darkness.